So I think it's time we talk about some of the most common verbs that are followed by the preposition à, because I know some of you out there struggle with this. So if that's something you're interested in and need to get good at, allez, c'est parti. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new around here, my name is Alex and I teach you the everyday French as well as ways to combat the problems that you face when learning French. So if you are new around here, click on the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest and future content. It's too sunny, it's too sunny. Il y avait un peu trop de soleil là-bas, donc j'ai dû bouger. Right, onto the list of verbs that are followed by à in no particular order. First on the list is passer du temps à faire quelque chose, or whatever the verb is after à, and that represents spending time doing something. Spending time doing something. You can't just say passer à because passer has different meanings. So one of them, one of the most key that is followed by a or à, is passer du temps à faire quelque chose. In English we say spend time doing, so with the ing continuous variation, but in French they use the infinitive. So passer du temps à faire du sport, passer du temps à faire le ménage, spend time doing the laundry, spend time doing sport. The second one is one that I think all of us English speakers should be able to use straight away because we have the exact equivalent in English, and it is n'hésitez pas à. N'hésitez pas à. Don't hesitate to. So in this case, à you can say means to. And you most of the time see it in this negative construction. Don't hesitate to, ask me some questions. N'hésitez pas à me poser des questions si vous en avez. Don't hesitate to ask me some questions if you have any. Or in the informal, n'hésite pas à revenir vers moi si vous en avez besoin. Don't hesitate to come back to me if you feel like you need it. Number 3 is on the verb aider, aider, to help. You always have to use à after aider when you're about to introduce the verb. So when you're talking about helping to do something. Just like in English, aider takes two objects, a direct and an indirect object. The person that you're helping is the direct object, and the thing they're trying to do is the indirect object or action. So, je t'aide à améliorer ton niveau de français. Ou j'aide Alex à améliorer son niveau de français. I know that aider as a learner is a verb that I use so often, especially in the Facebook groups that you'll find me in helping some of you out. You'll often talk about how that helps me. You might want to say, thank you very much, that helps me. Merci beaucoup, ça m'aide. Merci beaucoup, ça m'a aidé. Something like that. So in this case, this is not using a verb after aider, so you don't need à. You're using just the direct object of yourself, the person who's been helped. Ça m'aide. Ça aide quelqu'un. But when you're using the verb, like faire, ça aide à faire. Et ensuite, we have commencer à faire quelque chose. So when you want to use a verb after commencer, like to start doing something. Doing is always the best placeholder verb to use there when we don't have a concrete example. Commencer à faire quelque chose. Quand j'ai commencé à parler en français, c'était tellement difficile. C'était tellement difficile. Or, quand tu as commencé à me parler, je comprenais rien. Je comprenais rien. I know this isn't a video about teaching you how to remember verbs, but commencer is easy to remember because you have to commence, which also means to start in English. But just remember, commencer is one of the most common verbs you will hear which needs à before the infinitive. Commencer à faire. Another common but albeit less common verb than commencer, but which pretty much means the same thing with a slightly more subtle meaning but essentially means the same thing, is se mettre à. Se mettre à. And this can be se mettre à faire quelque chose, so with a verb, or it can just be a plus the activity. So to start an activity, or I like to think of it as meaning to get down to something, to knuckle down to something, or to, you know, start something with enthusiasm. Par exemple, je me mets à un nouveau régime demain. Je me mets à un nouveau régime demain. I'm starting a new diet tomorrow. Often you'll just see se mettre as je m'y mets, or tu t'y mets, or il s'y met. Bonus points for you if down in the comments you can tell me what the Y here is for. What does it represent? How could I do this list of verbs followed by a without talking about arriver? Arriver. And I'm not necessarily talking about arriver when we talk about arriving or going somewhere. I'm talking about arriver à faire quelque chose, because this is something that is super French and that you should all know, and it means to be able to do something, to manage to do something. So for example, something that us learners may have to say is like, I've tried to understand, I'm trying to understand, but I'm just not able to, I can't manage it. You would say, je n'arrive pas à comprendre. Je n'arrive pas à comprendre. I'm not able to manage to understand. It's not necessarily the same as pouvoir, where we talk about being able to do stuff. It's more than that. It's saying, like, I've tried to and I'm not able to. I can't manage to do it. I feel like it's mostly used in the negative, because often when we talk about managing to do things, we often, not always, but often talk about things that we fail to do. If we succeed in doing something, then we're going to talk about réussir. Réussir. Alors, comment ça se fait qu'on fait une liste de verbes comme celle-ci and not talk about apprendre? We're all learners, we're all apprendre all the time. So, I can tell you that apprendre is a verb always followed by a when you're following that by a verb, just like so many of the other verbs in this list. You can apprendre le français, that's fine, that's a direct object. Le français is a direct object of apprendre. But if you're learning to do something, then you need a verb after it, and therefore you need a preposition, which is, in this case, à. So, j'apprends à parler plus couramment. J'apprends à parler plus couramment. I'm learning to speak more fluently or fluidly. Ou peut-être, il apprend à mieux écouter. Il apprend à mieux écouter. He's learning to better listen. He's learning to listen better. If you want to say, I'm learning everyday French with French in plain sight, then you can say, j'apprends le français de tous les jours chez French in plain sight. J'apprends le français de tous les jours chez French in plain sight. It's really hard for me not to say French in plain sight in a French accent when I'm already in French mode. Last but certainly not least is penser à. Penser à. In fact, I've already done a video all about penser à, and I'll leave that both in the description and in the top right corner. But it's important to know that penser has different forms. You can have penser followed by no infinitive, penser followed by de, and penser followed by à. Simply put, penser à is used to talk about thinking of something or someone with fondness, or also to not forget something, to say to remember something. I often see this on posters where they're trying to tell you to remember to do something. They might say penser au tri, penser au tri, which is think about recycling, or remember recycling. So when it's to tell you to remember to do something with penser, we'll use penser à. If you want to talk about something or someone that you care about, then you use à plus the person or thing you're thinking about. Je pense à ma mère, je pense à mon père, je pense à ma famille, je pense à mes vacances. For more on the uses of penser à, remember the video link is down in the description. One question that I see a lot of you guys having regularly is there an easy way to remember which verbs are followed by à, which verbs are followed by de, which verbs are followed by no preposition at all? And I have to tell you guys, after spending 5 years studying French pretty solidly, pretty closely, I can tell you that there just isn't a hard and fast rule. If there was one to find, I would have found it and I would pass it on to you. So unfortunately, you just have to work hard and memorize which ones use which prepositions. But it's not all bad. Make your life easier, do yourself a favor by learning the ones which are most common, starting with the ones in this list today. Why the hell not? Pourquoi pas? Because you could quite easily go look up lists of verbs followed by a and just try to get them stuck in your head. But then you won't use them all because not all of them are used on a daily basis. Be efficient and study smart. Alors, c'est fini. J'espère que cette vidéo vous a plu. If it did, hit that like button down below. If you're new around here and you haven't subscribed, do so now. Click on that big red button. What do you think about the new branding, guys? The new name, French in plain sight, all the new stuff on social media? Please do let me know down in the comments. I really do appreciate your feedback. Merci beaucoup de regarder. À la prochaine. Ciao.